Greetings lords and ladies, and welcome to the Westeros vibe, where wildfire can be used to great effect against religious fanaticism. Before we start, I would like to remind you that links to every article or video covered this week can be found in the video description below. Also in the description you will find timestamps, so that you can choose which stories you will want to view. We start off with Natalie Dormer Marjorie talks what happened in King's Landing last night. Careful for spoilers. Following Cersei's incineration of the majority of House Tyrell, including Marjorie, Natalie came out post-mortem to say a few closing statements. I thought it was an inspired choice, and it's really interesting that I am given a moment of some vindication at the very end, which was the perfect way for Marjorie to leave the show. She's given a platform to say that she was right, as she always is. But because the power was taken from her, she couldn't do anything about it. Marjorie had a fantastic arc in comparison to what's in the books. David and Dan stood by what they originally said they would do, which is give me stuff to get my teeth into. It's the longest time I've ever spent playing a character. I'll always have a little yellow rose after my heart, and I think it was just the right time to leave, to be honest. It's time for the Westeros story to move on, and it's a perfect time for her to exit. That last one baffles me, as things will get extremely interesting for Winds of Winter and King's Landing. Moving on to what we can expect from Game of Thrones Season 7. This article goes through storylines and gives some predictions about what may come for them, from Jaimie possibly murdering Cersei to Dany's invasion, and even Sam's Maester journey. It's an interesting read, link down below. Next up, Nikolai Coster-Waldau on Cersei's madness and Jaimie's evolution. In this interview, Nikolai answers some questions about shooting Season 6 and about the parallel between Tommen and Bran during the season finale. When asked about the difference between Season 6 and previous ones, he said, "Obviously there's the whole thing being off book, but I felt there was a sense of the whole thing getting close to the end. As Dan and David have said, there's 13 episodes left now. It's not that much when you consider the amount of characters and worlds. Getting to the end of episode 10, you feel almost like we made it. Daenerys is on her way, she's got her ships, the whole thing is in motion. I thought every episode had some kind of step forward. Even the episodes that were about laying down storylines, there was always something that got us closer to the final shot of Daenerys on her way." In other news, Game of Thrones star Sophie Turner talks Sansa's loyalty finale twist. Spoilers ahead. After being passed up for the vacant position of Monarch of the North, Sophie gave an interview in which she gives her perspective on the various aspects of that decision, the possibility of a Jon and Sansa marriage, and about certain events in the South. When asked about the proudest moment in Sansa's evolution, she said, "The moment when she really stood up to Jon when they were having that battle planning session the night before the battle, that was probably when I was the most proud of her and most proud of what she's achieved. You really see how far she's come, going head to head with her older brother, which was basically unheard of in those times on which it's loosely based. I thought it was an incredibly strong moment for her. He didn't listen, but she proved him wrong." Moving on to Bella Ramsey, Lyanna Mormont on stealing all her scenes. The internet darling, so young yet so imposing, had some things to say following the season finale. "I thought this is a character to really get my teeth into. Lyanna is strong about what she believes and wants to keep her family and island protected. She wants to be treated like an adult. She is strong and firm when she needs to be, and wants the best for her house and the North. I read through the whole scene first, not necessarily focusing on my lines, but on the scene as a whole. I think it's important to have an understanding for it before I start approaching actually learning my lines. It took me a while to realize it. I actually woke up one morning and the first thing I thought was, oh, I really am integral to the storyline. It was good, really good, being fierce. It all kind of comes naturally when I become Lyanna, because it's in her nature. It's just who she is. I love the script for episode 10, how she doesn't care that she is the youngest person in the room, and proceeds to shame the three leaders. Next up, directors for Game of Thrones Season 7 announced. Their names are Alan Taylor, who directed mostly Season 1 and 2 episodes, including Baelor, the episode where Ned Stark bites it, Jeremy Podesva, Mark Milod, and a new face, Matt Shockman. In other news, Game of Thrones reportedly eyeing the Spanish town of Zumaya for Season 7 filming. It is reported that filming may start in September. The town is known for the Itsudun beach, known for its cliffs and flysch, a striking sedimentary formation. For more information, click the link below and enjoy the article. Moving on to Isaac Hempstead Wright, Bran and Robert Aramayo, young Ned, discuss Tower of Joy and more. This long article starts off with a few statements from Isaac about Kit knowing ever since Season 1 about R plus L equals J, the Tower of Joy, Tommen's fate and more. One quote of his was, "Well, if the fan theories prove to be correct, then it's pretty self-evident that what's important about this. He's telling us that maybe Jon Snow is actually not who we think and could actually be a very valuable asset and ally in these times. For Bran right now, the fact that he's seen it and has now learned that it's not his father's son, I think that makes Bran go, well, then the father is clearly an important figure that has something to do with the history and future of Westeros." Robert Aramayo mostly talked about the Tower of Joy, understandable as it is the only setting he has appeared in. About the reveal that Jon is Lyanna's son, he said, "Everything just exploded. He hasn't formed a plan. He doesn't know how he's going to deal with the situation at this point. I think he just knows that he's made the most important promise of his life, and he's going to figure out how to maintain that promise. But in that moment he's got a baby in his arms and his dead sister next to him. It's epic, it's huge. I don't think he knows what the next step is." Next up, director Miguel Sapochnik on shooting the opening sequence from The Winds of Winter. Speaking on the subject, he said that the inspiration for it were The Godfather and James Bond. About the musical score during the starting sequence, he said, "I was surprised and very pleased when composer Ramin Djawadi scored such a beautiful piece of score using piano as its main instrument. As the dude in The Big Lebowski would say, it really tied the room together." In other news, Aidan Gillen on Sansa becoming more like Littlefinger, and what's next for the schemer. Yet another post-season finale interview, this time with everyone's favorite teleporter, Littlefinger. One quote regarding Sansa was, "We only had a few scenes with Littlefinger in Season 6, but one thing he has trying to do consistently was sow some kind of seed of disquiet with Sansa in terms of Jon, and how closely related they really are, and how valid he really is as a king or a leader or a brother, while at the same time encouraging what might be her own position. There's a certain amount of 'I told you so, is this what you want? Can you trust him?' He also gave his views on the current Winterfell situation when it comes to Jon Snow's kingship. I don't think Littlefinger would differentiate between who is highborn and who is not, but it's a lot harder to raise if you're not. So there would be a certain respect and admiration, but also wariness about people who made it under difficult circumstance, because if they've fought hard for it, they must really want it, and they're going to fight harder to hold on to it. They're going to be clever, more ruthless, more adversarial possibly. Littlefinger has a keen awareness of where people are coming from and what they want, and what they'll do to get what they want, and using that awareness for his own benefit while seemingly promoting their cause. For more quotes, follow the link below and read the article. Moving on to these terrible historical events inspire Game of Thrones Red Wedding. The article contains a video link in which the real-life lore talks about the Black Dinner and the Massacre of Glencoe. Take a look and enjoy. Next up, Natalie Dormer on the Tyrells being unjustly blown to smithereens. Post-mortem, Natalie Dormer gave a few statements on her death and the circumstances surrounding it. Marjorie's been battling Cersei for the last, however, many years, and she ends up dying on the show not because she didn't beat Cersei, but because she trusted that someone else, the Sparrow, was handling her. She had the reins taken away from her from being in control over a situation. The High Sparrow took the reins, and it proved that he underestimated Cersei in a way that Marjorie never would have. There's a moment before Marjorie and the High Sparrow die when they look at each other and Marjorie realizes that Cersei has outplayed him, and she's gonna die because of that. For more quotes, click the link below and enjoy. In other news, video, watch the special effect reels for Battle of the Bastards. The archive contains a short 3-minute video which shows how parts of the battle were created. If you're interested in the process, then follow the link and enjoy. Moving on to the lands of YouTube, we have more videos to mention this week. Reviews and discussions of and about the season finale, The Winds of Winter, have been released by the following channels: Westeros.org, Emergency Awesome, Preston Jacobs, Red Team Review, Vassals of Kingsgrave, and History of Westeros with their show-only and book-to-show discussions. Emergency Awesome has released a video about why Jon Snow's mom was kept a secret, one about his top 10 predictions for Season 7, one about Jon the King of Westeros, and his Q&A for the review. Preston Jacobs has released his serious Q&A for his review. That is the news for the week ending on July 3rd. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please like, share, comment and subscribe. And stay tuned. Goodbye everyone. See you next week.